Besides his initial hit into the wall, I counted 5 times Benson got hit by other cars in that wreck.
It was not pretty, that's for sure.
16 cars involved in the accident on the last lap. Fortunately, all the drivers are okay, but it sure turned the finish of this one upside down. We'll be right back. Back at Talladega, these are unofficial championship standings with 5 races to go, and I say unofficial because of the last lap wreck. They're still reviewing the scoring as to how the actual finishing order will come about, particularly from positions 21 on down. So these are points as we have them now, though this is subject to change by the time your newspaper comes out tomorrow morning. Or you can check NASCAR.com, and they'll have the latest for you later on tonight. Marty Snyder.
Well, Alan, we have been chasing Tony Stewart back here in the motorhome lot now, and Tony obviously finished second. He said he's very happy with the second-place finish, but it has been an emotional week for Tony Stewart, starting with the mandate of the head and neck restraint devices, which he was not happy about, and finishing with him watching his teammate go upside down. Tony is very upset right now, and he's sitting in his motorhome trying to rest and calm down just a little bit and declined our request for an interview. Alan?
All right, Marty, thank you. Stewart with the runner-up finish today after employing the strategy of hanging around the back of the pack all day. When it was go time, he went and got up the front and almost got that lead away from Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the final lap.
It looked like today that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was the guy. He had the car that seemed to be the fastest all day. I don't think he lost anything from Daytona.
I tell you what, BP, that car was strong. Both of the DEI cars were strong. The 15 car, Michael Waltrip also. But when that 8 car could just pull out and pass cars without any help, he had a strong car. He did a good job with it, too. I mean, it was a great run for these guys.
Watching the finish of the race as Dale Jr. got away from Tony Stewart and Jeff Burton off that final corner to the checkered flag. As thrilling a race as it was, the post-mortem from this one will be the big wreck that took out 16 cars on the final lap, sent Bobby Labonte over on his head, and the cry from the drivers to change the rules.
And I don't blame the drivers. I don't blame the dog for complaining about it. But what are you going to do? I mean, it's taken these cars 20 years to get to this point, to be this fast, to be this aerodynamic, to have this much power. They have to have restricted down. And I don't know how they can just make a rule all of a sudden that will eliminate this. They can have the cars run in line, single file, but who wants to watch that?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with the drivers, and I feel for them having to be out there 3 wide, but I don't know what they can do.
Was it 2 years ago, the Daytona 500, before the advent of this aerodynamic package, was a race that many spectators called boring.
It was awful.
And the cars were a handful to drive. They were real hard to drive, and we were using a lot of racetrack to get the cars to grip. And in return, we had single file racing, and it was a boring race. So it's a tough call.
But we don't want this. I mean, these are our friends, mine and yours, all of our friends going down the racetrack, hitting each other on the roof. But we don't want this. What we want is these guys to run side by side.
Out, in and out. Spin it in front of you. Keep coming, keep coming. Speed it up, you got it. Push going.
I think Sterling's right. It's got to get to the point where you put the driver and the handling of the car back into the hands of who's going to be fast and who's going to, win races. And there's a balance there you have to find. You're right, BP. We don't want to see single file racing, but you got to get to the point where I think if you got to have good racing, but you got to get away. You can't have 40 cars that are all equally as good as everyone else.
I mean, we saw today Kevin Harvick on his onboard camera. By himself, he could run 182 miles per hour. And cars in a draft, 188 miles per hour. And all Kevin Harvick had to do was get with another car, and he could run 188.
Well, the bottom line is NASCAR's got some work to do. There's got to be a solution somewhere, but it's going to be hard work to find it. Balancing the drivers' needs to change this package with the fans' needs to have exciting racing like this here in at Daytona. Next weekend, it's on to Phoenix. Saturday, the Outback Steakhouse 200 on TNT at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by coverage of Winston Cup final practice. Then next Sunday at 2 Eastern Time, the race for the championship continues on NBC from Phoenix, Arizona. Next, it's coverage of the 2001 Gravity Games on NBC. Dale Earnhardt Jr. came out on top of a wild race at Talladega, a 16-car accident in the final lap. He held off Tony Stewart to score his 3rd win of 2001.